Welcome to DayZ. Vehicles in this game are straightforward to some and confusing to others. And before you ruin yours, we're going to take a look at all the mechanics that you should know about vehicles, how they work, and how best to secure your vehicle from other players trying to catch a GTA. Today, we're talking about vehicles in DayZ, and if you come across one, it's important that you know sort of these essential mechanics, or else you may end up ruining the car and being devastated. So the very first thing I'm going to point out is that you can just find car doors on the same car door in the world. So for example, we have an Olga right here. Neither of these doors are actual doors we can use. Here we have another Olga. Nope, no usable doors here either. Sad story. Oh, here we go. This Ada, it has an actual door. So as you see, sometimes cars just have a chance of spawning like real working doors or a real working trunk, like right here. That's an actual trunk, right? So we can find the parts for our vehicles if we roam the world and we look for the same type of car. There are two ways to put the door on the car. One way is to just look at it, and then we're gonna look for rear right door. Yeah, this is the right one. But you're gonna kind of look for the hinges right here. You see where the hinges are? Attach. Boop. And then we got a door. Right? It's as easy as that. I'm not sure if the windows provide protection. I think they provide a little bit, but one thing, if your windows do get shot out, you cannot repair this window. You can't bring it back. You can't do anything to make that window reappear. You would have to find another Olga door out there in the world that has a window in. Boop, put it right in that spot, right? And same thing goes for the windshield here. If your windshield gets damaged a little bit, as you saw there, it can go like super like that, and you won't be able to really see through it, right? Cracked. So when that happens, I recommend just getting out and shooting it one time. If we go to the back of the vehicle and we have the trunk closed and we press tab, we won't have the inventory on our screen. But if we open the trunk, that will give us access to the inventory. And the same thing goes for the hood. So if I had a hood on and I put it down, it would lock my ability to get to the engine parts, right? And now let's talk about the crucial parts of the car. Inside here, in the engine bay, we have a spark plug, which is ruined. What a terrible story. We have a car radiator, and we have a car battery. I'm going to put this new spark plug in there. All three of these are mandatory for your car to work and not ruin itself. Either the spark plug or the car battery will determine whether or not your car will start. So if you're missing those two, your car just won't start at all. If you're missing the radiator, your car will overheat and you will damage your car. You can tell what condition the car is in by looking at the engine bay, and it will say engine, and then we'll have a color right there. Also, if we go into the driver's seat, it'll have that beautiful check engine light that so many of us poors know so very well. Check engine light right there. That is pretty much the bane of society. I have a check engine light right now. Pretty upset about it, guys, honestly. But yeah, so that is going to tell us the condition of the car. If it's yellow, or this color, orange, means it's in pretty bad shape. It's about to ruin. If it was yellow, a little bit less dark in hue, that would mean it's like damaged, right? It's just like a gun or any other item. In the very bottom middle here, we also have an important gauge, the temperature. Okay, and if that temperature gauge is all the way over to the right, that means our radiator has no water in it. And if the radiator has no water in it, it's gonna ruin the engine. Okay, so what we're gonna do is we're gonna get out and we're gonna go look at this radiator really quick. So the radiator's in the front here, and I could take it into my hands. Now, if I had water in it and I took it out of the car, all the water just fell on the ground. So I'm gonna drag and drop. I could either do this if I have access to the radiator, like I'm in the front of the car, or I could look at it and press left click. And what I need is water, and a lot of it, like an excessive amount. Thankfully, I have a gas canister here and it's full of water. So I'm gonna go over to this guy, turn off admin cheats right quick, and refill it. Check out how much water this takes. Think about it. This is a jerry can. Like regular water bottles, it's gonna take like 6 water bottles for your car to actually be in running condition. Something like that. I'm not sure exactly how many. You know what? Maybe I should find out right now. All right, I have 4 water bottles. Let's find out right now. I don't play games. Let's see. 1. 2. There's no way it was 2. I don't believe that. Doggone it, I was right. It's 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. That took 6, like 5 3/4 water bottles to fill up the radiator. So if I were to come up to this and take the radiator out right now, all the water would spill out. I just want to remind you of that. So don't take your radiator out. And if we get in the car and we look in the bottom left, now we will see the temperature gauge all the way over to the left. That's signifying that it's cold for those of you that don't be driving too much. And it's letting us know that the car is good to drive. Now, it's not like a normal car where when you start driving it, it's going to naturally heat up a little bit. That gauge is essentially letting you know how much water's in there. Empty being all the way to the right in the red and full being all the way to the left. As I said earlier, without the spark plug or the battery, the car will not start. So something you can do to sort of cement the difficulty of taking your car. Let's say this is behind a base wall and you're storing this car. You can take, this is Salad Slave, my buddy who taught me this, or showed me this actually, and I was like, that's such common sense, you know what I mean? You could take a screwdriver over to your radiator, and this will stop, let's say a fresh spawn came by and they saw a car and they're like, screw this person. They just took my radiator out right now, right? It would take all the water out, and I would be screwed. I'd have to fill this up again. So if we have a screwdriver, we can lock it in place. Hold left click. And now we'll see on the car when we press tab, there's a little wrench where the car radiator is, signifying that it's locked in place. And we could do the same thing for battery. Now, locking in a battery that is full doesn't really help us secure this car. But if we make a battery go empty, which is really quite easy, if I just turn the lights on in the car, which you do by pressing L, it would slowly drain the battery. So something you could do if you're doing this, like you're parking your car to log off for the night, put an empty battery in the car, take your screwdriver, and lock that bad boy in. Now, let's pretend for a second we're behind a base here. There's walls on all sides of this. If they came in, they would get into the car. They'd be like, oh, everything's in there, the battery, everything. Oh, the radiator's good. And they would turn it over, but there would be nothing because the battery doesn't have enough energy to kickstart the car, right? To get it in motion. And if they came over to it, it's not like they'd just be able to pull it and drag it out, right? They can't get the battery because it's locked in by our screwdriver. They would have to have brought a screwdriver, which is quite unlikely, right? And then take that one out, either charge that battery or put their own battery in. So that's just a little something you could do to secure your car even more. And we're always, whenever we park it, let's say we do park it, we're always going to want to take our spark plug out. Now, normally to really secure the car, you're going to want to take the spark plug out and do either the battery check that I just showed you and hide this working battery or carry it on your person, right? But a lot of people just like will hide it in a nearby area, like hidden behind something, and it won't despawn for a couple hours, so you should be good. But normally people just take the spark plug out. That's why I always, whenever I do find a spark plug, I pick that bad boy up. So the last thing when it comes to the engine room is fixing the engine. And this is going to be the integrity of the car. Like you could break everything else in the car, but as long as the engine is good, you could repair the other things. Once the engine goes to ruin, the car is useless. You cannot use it anymore. And the only way to repair the engine is with a blowtorch and a gas canister attached to it. So as you see, I'm going to hold left click for repair right here. Beep. It's just going to start warming that engine room. Ooh, ain't you so warm, baby girl. So warm. Boom, it went around once, so now we're at damaged. And now we're going to be at worn status, just like a gun, right? And if we look, the engine is green. Okay, now another thing with the tires, we can kind of do a similar thing. First off, if we do have a tire repair kit, we could just go up to a tire and patch it. It's always an option for us. Oh, you think you could just rain on my parade? You think you could just come in on my event? That's better. But in the same way that we can lock in our engine room, we could also lock in our wheels so someone doesn't come by and steal it. We could hold left click with a tire iron or a lug wrench in our hand, and we're going to lock that wheel in. This will not stop you from repairing the car. You can have them locked in and repair them. So it's not really going to detriment your ability to use the car in any way or anything like that. But you can lock in all of your wheels so no one can just come along and steal them bad boys from you. Now let's get into the car and actually drive this bad boy. Now, as we see in the top middle, there is a fuel gauge. And in my opinion, a little bit of fuel lasts forever. I don't know anyone who's needing a grip ton of fuel, right? But I don't want to drive this unless that temperature gauge is all the way to the left. I'm sure there is probably like 80% or 75% it's okay, but I want it all the way to the left. So we're going to start this bad boy up. Boom, we got a little purr. Now, in order to shift up, let me turn down my headset. In order to shift up, we're going to press E. It's going to put me in first gear. And then to shift down, we're going to press Q, kind of like we're leaning, right? You can see I'm messing with the thing. R obviously is reverse, so if I hold W, I'm going to go in reverse. S is to brake. Space is to handbrake, which I'll show you in a second. And I think that's about it. A and D go left and right, right? It's like normal. But here we go. I'm in first gear. I'm driving. For those, I forgot that there was a tire there. There we go. I use admin sheets to get me off that. But what I don't want to do is I don't want to rev the car into the red. So if we look on the right, the RPMs, if it gets into the red, you hear that sound? That's my car taking damage. And the engine's going to slowly get damaged the more that happens. So we're going to want to shift right before the red, generally speaking. Good. And this is just going to be a driving tutorial for those of you that don't know how to drive stick. When you are coming into a turn, so let's say specifically in DayZ, this is really important because you can't really turn while you're braking. It's really difficult to brake and turn at the same time. So when you're coming into a turn, downshift and brake at the same time, and that will give you like a really strong pull on your car. So watch, I'm going to do it again. Let me find a strong turn here. So right here, I'm going to downshift and I'm going to brake, and that's going to allow me to turn tight here. But if I'm just braking, these old cars, they don't turn well. I think a large percentage of new players crashing their vehicles, or just players in general, comes from them seeing something in the distance. Like, I'm scared I'm going to hit that. Oh, my God. Did I just teleport myself? I think I teleported myself there. That's my bad. My bad. That's on me. But they see that thing over there, and they're like, I'm scared I'm going to hit that. I'm scared I'm going to hit that. So then they turn and they brake. I'm turning and braking right now. It barely lets you turn. Did you see how straight I was going? Versus if I'm accelerating through a downshift and braking, it'll not only stop my car more, but it'll also give me better traction on the ground. And for anyone who knows how to drive a stick shift, I'm sorry I had to do that for you. But look at, we're shifting right before the RPMs are up. Boom. Also, alongside this, you can hold shift, which will burn a lot more gasoline, but it will give your car like a little boostie, a little speed boost, right? We're going 4x4, baby. Perfect. Now, normally, you guys would have taken a lot of damage there. I got God mode on, so we driving a little reckless right now. I'm not going to lie. I ain't even going to hold you back. Now, the two last things I want to tell you about cars, if you're in neutral and you're revving it up and you shift, it allows you to have like a kick on the jump. It drives way faster. So if, let's say, you had this car parked and you just got into a firefight and you like aren't sure if people are watching it, when you get in, you're waiting for your buddy to get in, rev that bad boy and then skirt. It'll give you that little punch, that little peel out effect. And lastly, if we get our car stuck, so let's say we get our car stuck, the first thing we got to do is put it into neutral, turn it off obviously, and make sure it's in neutral or else we won't be able to push it. But if we just look at our car, we can hold left click and push. It's very important when we're pushing the cars too, we don't get too close because you're not going to have God mode. And if it rolls back on you, for example, if I was like here and I'm pushing it directly from behind and the car rolls forward with my last little, right? And then it rolls back onto me, it will damage me. So we got to be very careful with that. And sometimes when it's like right here, so long as you have traction on a tire, you're going to be able to skirt over this bad boy. So I'm going to push it one more time here. And then I'm going to pump that bad boy. Boom, we didn't even need to. We got it over. But boom, there you go. We got that car free. Just make sure it's in neutral, okay? All right, so here we have all the vehicles, and these two on the right are going to be a little bit different than all four of these. All four of these generally have the same mechanics. The only thing is this one has the engine in the back and the trunk in the front. But they're all going to be pretty much exactly the same. You're going to need to get wheels. You're going to need to get those three parts. These two, however, they're truck versions, not so much. So this one right here, you need just a truck battery. That is the only item you need to drive this vehicle. It works just like the other guy. We can take this bad boy right here and we can lock that button. See? And boom, my battery's locked in there. The cool thing about trucks too is that they can hold a lot of materials. So for a big group, if you're looking to build a base, this bad boy right here is the gold standard. Allows us to hold 50 logs, 100 planks, 40 sheet metal, bunch of barrels, bunch of wood boxes, right? We're just big pimping with this thing. You repair the engine the exact same way, and you don't need a spark plug or a glow plug for this guy. Just a truck battery. Kind of insane to think about. This guy, however, you need a glow plug for, if you've even seen this item. This is what it's for. It's for the M1205, and it also needs a car battery. So you could do the same tricks as I showed you for the other guy. This is the gold standard for vehicles. It's the strongest vehicle, like best driving. It has an automatic transmission, so all of that shifting nonsense that you had to deal with, as you see here in the bottom, there are no gears. It's just drive, right? And it's going to shift for you. See, watch. Boom, shifted for me. But that's pretty much the guide. I thank you all so very much for watching. I hope you learned something. And, yeah, be good to each other out there. Or don't.